The testing chamber smelled like metal, and something else Hyun could not name. Maybe it was fear itself. He stood in line with 40 other cadets, watching the heavy door open and close as each student went inside. Some came out crying. Others looked like they had seen ghosts. Station Kronos floated in deep space, far from any planet. It was home to the Galactic Military Academy, where young soldiers from 73 different species learned to fight together. The station was massive, with silver walls and bright lights everywhere. Today was the day everyone feared most. The fear assessment. Hyun rubbed his hands together. They were a little sweaty. He was human, one of only 12 humans in the entire academy. His species had joined the galactic community just 20 years ago. Most aliens still did not understand humans very well. That made things harder sometimes. Next, Cadet Hyun. The voice came from a speaker above the door. He walked forward. His boots made soft sounds on the floor. The door opened with a hiss. Inside, the room was completely white. In the center sat a strange machine. It looked ancient, covered in symbols that glowed with a soft blue light. Thin metal arms extended from its sides, each one tipped with small sensors. Behind a thick glass window, Instructor Talvor watched him. Talvor was a Kelsh, a reptile species with 4 eyes and dark green scales. He had fought in 3 wars and never smiled, not once. Cadet Hyun approached the machine, Talvor said through the intercom. His voice was flat and professional. Hyun walked to the machine. Up close, he could hear it humming. The sound made his teeth hurt a little. He sat in the chair that faced it. The metal was cold even through his uniform. The Phobos machine will now scan your neural pathways, Talvor explained. It will identify your deepest fear. Every sentient being has one. The machine has never failed in 300 years. Do not resist the scan. It will only make the process longer. Hyun nodded. He had heard stories about this test. Last year, a cadet from the Vrek species had failed. His fear was so strong that he could not continue his training. He had gone home in shame. The machine's arms moved. They came closer to Hyun's head, stopping just near his temples. He felt a tingling sensation, then pressure, not painful but strange, like someone was pushing their fingers very gently against his skull. His vision blurred. Memories flashed in his mind. He saw his childhood home on Earth, his mother's face, the day he left for the academy, a training exercise where his friend almost died. Each memory felt real, like he was living it again. The machine dug deeper. Hyun felt it searching for something. What was he afraid of? Dying? No, every soldier accepted that risk. Failing? Maybe, but that was not deep enough. Being alone? Losing people he cared about? The machine touched these fears and moved on, searching for something bigger. Minutes passed. Hyun's head started to hurt. The machine's humming grew louder. Through the glass, he saw Talvor lean forward, studying his screens. The instructor's 4 eyes widened. The machine's lights began to flicker. Red warning symbols appeared on panels Hyun could not read. The metal arm shook slightly. The humming became irregular, like a broken engine trying to start. Then suddenly it all stopped. The arms pulled away from Hyun's head. The machine went quiet. A small printer on its side activated, pushing out a single sheet of paper. Talvor stared at his screens. His translator made a sound that Hyun had never heard before. Surprise, confusion? The instructor pressed a button. Stay there, cadet, do not move. Hyun sat very still. His head still tingled from the scan. What had gone wrong? Had he broken the ancient machine somehow? Talvor entered the chamber. He moved quickly to the machine and grabbed the printed paper. His eyes scanned it once, twice, 3 times. Then he looked at Hyun with an expression that was hard to read. What does it say? Hyun asked. Talvor held up the paper. In the middle of various charts and symbols, one word was printed in large letters. Mystery. I do not understand, Talvor said slowly. The machine has identified every cadet's fear for centuries. It never fails. It never returns an error code. But with you, he looked at the paper again. It found nothing it could classify. Or perhaps it found too many things. The result is simply listed as mystery. But I do feel fear, Hyun said. I felt it during the scan. I thought about losing my friends, about failing my missions, about... I believe you, Talvor interrupted. But the Phobos machine does not measure general anxieties. It searches for the one primary fear that defines a being's psychological core. Every species has this. The Vreks fear the death of their family groups. The Naiad fear dehydration and isolation. The Kelsh fear dishonor. But you, he paused. The machine could not find your primary fear. Or it could not understand it. Talvor pressed his communicator. Commander Ixalar, we have a situation in testing chamber 3. Please come immediately. They waited in silence. Hyun felt his heart beating fast. This was bad. Being different was always bad in the military. Different meant unreliable. Different meant dangerous. The door opened again. Commander Ixalar entered. She was tall, even for a Draxian, with silver skin and 3-fingered hands. She commanded the entire station. Cadets rarely saw her except during ceremonies. Show me, she said. Talvor handed her the paper. She studied it with her large black eyes. Run the test again. Commander, the machine needs time to... Now, instructor? Hyun sat back in the chair. The machine's arms extended again. The humming started. The same tingling, the same pressure, the same search through his memories and fears. 10 minutes later, the result was the same. Mystery. Commander Ixalar's expression hardened. Seal this room. I want full security protocols activated. This cadet is not to leave the station until we understand what we are dealing with. Commander, I am not hiding anything. Hyun protested. I am just human, Ixalar finished. Yes, I know. And that is precisely what concerns me. Your species is new to us. We do not fully understand your psychology. For all we know, this could be a natural defense mechanism, or it could be something else, something dangerous. She turned to Talvor. Assemble a panel. Xenopsychologists, security chiefs, medical staff. I want to know why the Phobos machine cannot read this human. And I want to know by tomorrow. As they led him out of the chamber, Hyun saw other cadets staring at him through the waiting area windows. Word would spread fast. The human whose fear could not be measured. The human who broke an ancient machine. The human who was now a mystery even to himself. In that moment, Hyun realized something ironic. He had discovered a new fear. The fear of being feared by everyone else. The conference room had no windows. Hyun sat at a long metal table, surrounded by beings who stared at him like he was a puzzle they needed to solve. Some looked curious. Others looked worried. A few looked angry. Commander Ixalar stood at the head of the table. She gestured to the screens behind her, which showed Hyun's test results. The word mystery appeared on every chart. We have a problem, she began. The Phobos machine is precursor technology. The precursors built machines that lasted thousands of years. They never break. They never fail, until now. A small, furry creature with 6 arms raised 1 limb. Could the human be using illegal neural shields? There are black market devices that can block scans. We checked, said the security chief, a massive being made of what looked like living stone. No foreign technology detected in or on the subject. Then perhaps humans are simply immune to the scan, suggested another panel member. Dr. Rena spoke up from the back of the room. She was human like Hyun, though much older. She had gray hair and kind eyes. She was one of only 3 human staff members at the academy. I have been studying this issue, she said, pulling up her own data on a tablet. I believe the machine did not fail. It simply encountered something it was not designed to handle. Explain, Commander Ixalar ordered. The Phobos machine was built by precursors who studied dozens of species. They identified patterns. Most species evolved with one primary survival fear. Vreks fear losing their family group because they are pack hunters. Naiad fear dehydration because they are water-based. These fears are simple, direct. The machine can find them easily. Dr. Rena brought up an image of Earth. But humans evolved differently. Earth is what we call a death world. Almost everything there can kill you. Predators, diseases, weather, even some plants. Humans survived by being adaptable. They did not develop one primary fear. They developed many fears, and they learned to choose which fear to listen to depending on the situation. The room was quiet. Some panel members looked at their own screens, checking her data. So you are saying humans have no fear? Asked the furry creature. No, Dr. Rena said firmly. Humans feel fear very strongly. But their fear is flexible, context-dependent. In one situation, a human might fear death above all else. In another situation, that same human might fear dishonor more than death. The machine cannot identify a single primary fear because there is not one. That makes them unpredictable, said the security chief. Unpredictable soldiers are dangerous soldiers. Or effective ones, Dr. Rena countered. If the enemy cannot predict what you fear, they cannot exploit it. Commander Ixlar raised her hand for silence. Theories are useful, Dr. Rena, but we need proof. This cadet must undergo additional testing. If he is psychologically unstable, he cannot continue training. If he is stable but simply unusual, we need to document this for all future human recruits. She looked directly at Hyun. You will be monitored constantly. Your reactions, your decisions, your behavior. We will determine if this mystery is a strength or a weakness. The panel dismissed him. 2 guards escorted Hyun back to his quarters. The other cadets in the hallway moved aside as he passed. Some whispered to each other. He heard the word human several times. His quarters were small but comfortable. He shared the room with Taemin, another human cadet. Taemin was lying on his bed, tossing a small ball against the wall and catching it. When Hyun entered, Taemin sat up quickly. There he is, the mysterious mystery man. Taemin grinned, but his eyes showed concern. Everyone is talking about you. They are saying you broke a sacred machine. They are saying you might be a spy. They are saying you might be crazy. I am not crazy, Hyun said, dropping onto his own bed. I just took the test like everyone else. Yeah, but everyone else got a result. Taemin threw the ball again. Look, I am worried about you. The Academy does not like things it cannot understand. Remember what happened to that Kelsh cadet last year? He showed signs of independent thinking during war games. They sent him home. I am not going home, Hyun said. I worked too hard to get here. The door chimed. Taemin opened it. A young woman stood there, human, with sharp eyes and a tablet under her arm. Ji-won. She was in their tactical studies class and had the highest scores in strategy. I need to talk to Hyun, she said, pushing past Taemin into the room. I have been researching your situation. Does everyone know? Hyun asked. Everyone knows, Ji-won confirmed. She sat at their small desk and opened her tablet. I have been reading human psychological studies. Old ones from Earth before we joined the galactic community. Did you know that human soldiers throughout history were trained to overcome fear? Not to eliminate it, but to act despite it? So? Taemin asked. So the Phobos machine is looking for fear that controls behavior, but humans train themselves so fear does not control them. Maybe that is why the machine could not find a clear result. It was looking for a master fear and humans refused to have one. Dr. Rena said something similar, Hyun admitted. Then she is smart. Ji-won scrolled through more data. I also found something else. The precursors who built the machine went extinct 2,000 years ago. No one knows why. But their technology was all about control. Fear control, mind control, behavior control. Maybe they could not understand a species that resists control naturally. A heavy knock interrupted them. The door opened before anyone could answer. Korath stood there, filling the entire doorframe. He was Vrex, over 2 meters tall with 6 limbs and armor-like skin. His translator box spoke in a deep, rumbling voice. Human Hyun, I would speak with you. Taemin and Ji-won looked at Hyun. He nodded. It is okay, Korath entered. The room suddenly felt much smaller. I took the fear test 3 days ago, he said. The machine showed my greatest fear. The death of my clutch, my family group. I was ashamed. To have such fear revealed to all. I am sorry, Hyun said. Do not be sorry. Korath's multiple eyes focused on Hyun. I came to ask you a question. What are you hiding? Every being knows fear. To have none is to be broken, or to be a predator who recognizes no threats. Which are you? Hyun stood up even though Korath towered over him. I am not hiding anything. I feel fear. I felt it during the test. Fear of failing my training. Fear of letting down my team. Fear of dying before I accomplish anything important. The machine just could not understand it. Why not? Because human fear is complicated, Ji-won answered for him. We do not fear just one thing. We fear many things, and we choose which fear matters most in each moment. Korath was silent for a long time. His translator made clicking sounds as he thought. That sounds exhausting. It is, Hyun admitted. But also powerful, Korath said slowly. If you can choose your fear, you can choose your courage. My people cannot. When we see threat to clutch, we react. Always the same. Predictable. You are not predictable. He turned to leave, then paused at the door. The other cadets are afraid of you now, Hyun. They see you as unknown. Be careful. Fear makes people do foolish things. After he left, the 3 humans sat in silence. He is right, Taemin said quietly. This is going to get worse before it gets better. Hyun knew he was right. Commander Ixalar would not stop investigating until she had answers. The other cadets would keep their distance. And somewhere in the Academy's records, his file now had a label that would follow him forever. Mystery. Dr. Rena appeared at their door that evening. Hyun, the panel has made a decision. Tomorrow you will undergo a field test. They want to see how you perform under extreme pressure. If you pass, they will let you continue training. If you fail, she did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. They all understood what failure meant. The simulation chamber was the largest room Hyun had ever seen on the station. It could create entire worlds, complete battlefields, any scenario the instructors could imagine. Usually teams of 4 or 5 cadets trained here together. Today, Hyun would go in alone. Commander Ixalar stood before the observation window with dozens of other instructors and cadets. Her voice came through the speakers. Cadet Hyun, you will face the Abyssal Crucible. It is our most difficult training scenario. No one has ever completed it alone. Most teams of experienced cadets fail. You have 1 hour. If you succeed, you may continue your training. If you fail, you will be sent home to Earth. Hyun swallowed hard. Behind the observation glass, he could see Taemin and Ji-won. They both looked worried. Even Korath was there, his 6 arms crossed over his chest. Understood, Commander, Hyun said. The room went dark. Then lights flickered on, and suddenly Hyun was standing on the bridge of a starship. Alarms blared. Red warning lights flashed everywhere. The ship shook violently. Warning, a computer voice announced. Multiple hull breaches detected. Life support failing. Main engines offline. Ship is entering gravitational pull of collapsing star. Time to event horizon, 53 minutes. Hyun ran to the command console. His hands moved quickly over the controls, pulling up damage reports. The situation was bad, really bad. The ship had been hit by debris, maybe meteors or enemy fire. 14 hull breaches. The engine core was damaged. Weapons offline. Communication systems barely working. He took a breath. Focus, prioritize what kills you first. He needed to seal the hull breaches before all the air leaked out. He pulled up the repair systems and began directing automated drones to the worst breaches. The ship shook again. Another alarm joined the others. Warning. Gravitational stress increasing. Hull integrity at 60%. Hyun worked faster. He rerouted power from non-essential systems to structural supports. He sealed 8 of the breaches, but the ship kept being pulled toward the dying star. Then he heard a voice. Captain, help us! Hyun turned. 3 crew members stood behind him. He recognized their faces. They were holograms, projections, but they looked real. One of them was bleeding. The engineering section is flooding with radiation, the hologram said. We will die if you do not seal the door. But Hyun checked his console. If he sealed that door, he would lose access to the engine controls. He needed the engines to escape. Please, the hologram begged. Do not leave us to die. It was not real, Hyun reminded himself. This was a simulation. These were not real people. But his heart pounded anyway. This was the point of the test. To create fear. To create pressure. To force impossible choices. He made his decision. I am sorry, he told the holograms. But I need the engine access. He continued working on the repairs. The holograms screamed and disappeared. A new voice spoke. His mother's voice. Hyun, why did you let them die? I raised you better than this. Hyun closed his eyes for a moment. Not real, stay focused. He opened his eyes and continued working. More voices came. His father. His friends from Earth. Even Taemin's voice crying out in pain. The simulation was using his memories against him, creating the worst possible psychological pressure. In the observation room, Dr. Rena watched the monitors showing Hyun's heart rate and brain activity. His stress levels are extremely high, she reported. But he is not freezing. He is not panicking. Increase the difficulty, Commander Ixalar ordered. The simulation changed. The collapsing star became a black hole. The ship's hull began to tear apart. Entire sections broke away, spinning into the darkness. The screaming voices got louder. Hyun saw visions of people being sucked into space, their bodies freezing instantly. His hands shook. Sweat ran down his face. This was too much. No one could handle this alone. But he kept working. What was the goal? Survive? How? He could not outrun a black hole with damaged engines. He could not repair the ship fast enough. Think differently. What resources do you have? The warp core. It was damaged but still had power. If he ejected it and detonated it, the explosion might push the ship away from the black hole. It was a crazy idea. The explosion might destroy the ship completely, but staying here would definitely kill everyone. He made the calculations quickly. Angle timing force. His hands moved over the controls. Computer, prepare to eject warp core on my command. Warning, the computer said. Ejecting warp core will result in total power loss. I know. Do it anyway. In the observation room, cadets leaned forward. What is he doing? Someone asked. He is going to blow the core, Jiwan said quietly. It might work, Hyun counted down. 3, 2, 1, eject! The warp core shot away from the ship. Hyun immediately triggered its detonation. The explosion was massive, a ball of pure energy expanding in space. The shockwave hit the ship and pushed it sideways away from the black hole's pull. But the ship was powerless now. It spun wildly. More sections broke apart. Hyun held onto the console as gravity failed. He was floating. The bridge was breaking up around him. He pulled himself to an emergency panel and activated the escape pod system. The pod shot away from the dying ship just as the entire vessel tore apart. Debris flew in all directions. Hyun manually piloted the tiny pod through the storm of metal and fire, using small thrusters to dodge the largest pieces. His vision blurred. He was exhausted. His arms felt like they weighed 100 kilograms each, but he kept the pod moving, kept dodging, kept fighting. Finally, the pod cleared the debris field. The black hole's pull was weaker here. He could make it. He would survive. The simulation ended. The room lights came back on. Hyun was on his knees, breathing hard. His entire body was shaking. The door opened. Commander Ixler entered, followed by Dr. Rena and the other instructors. The cadets crowded behind them, trying to see. 47 minutes, Commander Ixler said. You completed the scenario in 47 minutes alone. Hyun looked up at her. Did I pass? You did more than pass, she said. Her expression was hard to read. But I watched your reactions. You were terrified. I saw it in every movement. Your hands shook. Your breathing was irregular. You were experiencing extreme fear. Yes, Hyun admitted. I was very afraid. But you did not stop, Korath said from the doorway. His translator made a sound like approval. You felt the fear and continued anyway. That is true courage, Dr. Rena smiled. She helped Hyun to his feet. That is the human condition. We feel fear deeply. We just refuse to let it control us completely. Commander Ixalar was silent for a moment. Then she nodded. The panel will meet again, but I will recommend that you continue your training. However, Cadet Hyun, you must understand something. Your mystery classification remains. We still do not fully understand human psychology. Until we do, you will face additional scrutiny. I understand, Commander. As they left the chamber, Taemin threw his arm around Hyun's shoulders. That was incredible. You actually beat the abyssal crucible. I barely survived it, Hyun said. Barely surviving is still surviving, Jiwan pointed out. And you proved something important today. You proved that humans can function under extreme psychological pressure. That night, Hyun lay in his bed, staring at the ceiling. His body was exhausted, but his mind would not rest. He thought about the voices in the simulation, the impossible choices, the fear that had gripped his heart. He had been terrified. The test had found his fears after all. Fear of failing, fear of helplessness, fear of letting others die, fear of not being good enough. But he had not let those fears paralyze him. He had felt them, acknowledged them, and then chosen to act anyway. Maybe that was the real mystery the Phobos machine could not understand. Humans did not ignore their fears. They faced them. 3 weeks passed. Life at the academy slowly returned to normal. Hyun continued his training with the other cadets. Some still avoided him, but others had started to see him differently. He was no longer just the strange human. He was the cadet who beat the abyssal crucible alone. Then the alert came. Every cadet was ordered to the main briefing hall. Commander Ixlar stood at the front, her silver skin reflecting the harsh lights. Behind her, a star map showed a location in nearby space. 2 hours ago, our sensors detected an anomaly, she began. A precursor facility is activated after being dormant for thousands of years. It is broadcasting a distress signal. This is a rare opportunity. The precursors built the technology we still use today, including the Phobos machine. Understanding their facilities could give us incredible knowledge. She gestured to the map. I am assembling a team of our top cadets to investigate. This will be a real mission, not a simulation. There will be real danger, but also real glory for those who succeed. The commander called out 5 names. Cadet Hyun, Cadet Taemin, Cadet Jiwon, Cadet Korath, Cadet Velisa. You will depart in 1 hour. Gather your gear. The 5 cadets met at the docking bay. Velisa was the only one Hyun did not know well. She was Naiad, an aquatic species, and wore a special suit that kept her skin moist. Her large eyes studied him carefully. So you are the mystery human, she said. Her translator gave her voice a musical quality. I hope you are as capable as the stories say. I hope so too, Hyun replied honestly. They boarded a small scout ship. Taemin took the pilot seat. He was the best pilot in their class. Jiwon sat at the navigation console planning their approach. Korath checked the weapon systems with his multiple arms. Felisa monitored environmental controls. Hyun served as the team leader. The journey took 3 hours. The precursor facility appeared on their sensors first as a strange gravity signature, then as a massive structure that made no sense. It was built in impossible angles with towers that seemed to bend in directions that should not exist. That is not natural, Taemin said quietly. That is not even logical. The precursors built things beyond our understanding, Jiwon reminded him. Stay focused. They docked at what looked like an entrance. The airlock was still functional after thousands of years. Inside, emergency lights flickered on automatically, casting strange shadows. The team moved carefully through corridors that seemed to shift when no one was looking directly at them. The walls were covered in symbols that glowed faintly. Korath kept his weapons ready. Felisa recorded everything with her scanner. Look at this, Jiwon said, stopping at a wall panel. Text appeared in multiple languages, including human English. The facility's translation system is adapting to us. It says this was a research station. Research on what? Hyun asked. Jiwon kept reading. Fear. They were studying fear across different species. And look at this entry. Project Dread Engine. Weaponizing psychological terror. Target entire populations without physical weapons. The team exchanged glances. They were building a fear weapon? Felisa asked. Suddenly, alarms blared. The lights turned red. Metal doors slammed shut throughout the facility, separating the team members. Hyun found himself alone in a corridor. His communicator only produced static. Taemin? Jiwon? Anyone? Nothing. He tried to retrace his steps, but the corridors had changed. New walls blocked old paths. The facility was rearranging itself. Then he heard a voice over hidden speakers. Intruders detected. Defense protocols activated. Psychological assessment beginning. The corridor ahead of Hyun shimmered. A hologram appeared. It showed Earth, his home planet, but something was wrong. Cities were burning. The oceans were boiling. His mother's face appeared in the sky, massive and accusing. You left us to die, Hyun. You chose the stars over your family. It was not real. Hyun knew that. But his heart rate increased anyway. He forced himself to walk forward through the hologram. It dissolved into smoke. More images appeared. His friends dying in battle. Taemin's ship exploding. Jiwon crushed under rubble. Korath torn apart. Each vision was designed to trigger fear, to make him freeze, to make him turn back. But Hyun kept walking. The visions disturbed him. They made his hands shake. But they did not control him. He had a mission. His team needed him. Meanwhile, in another section, Korath faced his own nightmare. Holograms showed his entire clutch, his family group lying dead. Their bodies broken and bloody. He roared in anguish, his weapons firing at the images, but the bullets passed through harmlessly. The fear paralyzed him. He collapsed to his knees, all 6 limbs trembling. Felisa found herself in a dry chamber, the moisture being sucked from her suit. She felt her skin cracking, her gills struggling for water. Panic seized her. She clawed at the walls, desperate to escape. Taemin was trapped in a simulation of a crashing ship, forced to relive his worst nightmare over and over. Every time he tried to regain control, the ship would spin and fail. He could not escape the loop. Jiwon was confronted with visions of her every decision leading to disaster. Every strategy she had ever planned shown as a failure. Every person she had tried to help dying because of her advice. Her confidence shattered. Hyun continued through the facility, following the strongest energy signals. He found a central chamber where computer systems still hummed with power. A holographic interface activated as he approached. Fascinating, a voice said. An artificial intelligence still functioning after millennia. Subject exhibits fear response in multiple areas. Childhood home. Peer relationships. Mission success. Yet subject continues to advance. No single fear dominates behavior pattern. I am human, Hyun said to the AI. We are complicated. Indeed. The Phobos machine reported similar findings. Classification mystery. This unit attempted to generate appropriate fear response but could not identify primary target. How is this possible? Hyun thought about his answer. Because my species does not work the way you expect. We feel many fears. They all exist at once. We choose which one to listen to based on what matters most in that moment. Explain further, the AI demanded. Right now, I am afraid of failing my mission. I am afraid my friends are in danger. I am afraid I might not be strong enough or smart enough to help them. But I am also driven by duty, by loyalty, by the belief that giving up is worse than being afraid. So I keep moving forward. The AI processed this. The precursor studied 73 species. All possessed primary fear signatures. Clear, predictable, exploitable. But your species does not fit the pattern. Where are my teammates? Hyun asked. Experiencing customized fear scenarios. Each subject is trapped in their personal nightmare, unable to escape. The facility's defense system is functioning as designed. Hyun's jaw tightened. You have to release them. Why would this unit comply? Because I am asking you to consider something. If your creators built all this technology to control fear, and they still went extinct, maybe their approach was wrong. Maybe fear is not something to be controlled. Maybe it is something to be understood and overcome. The AI was silent for a long moment. Then it said, Your argument is one compelling. This unit will access historical records. Lights flickered around the chamber. Data streams appeared in the air. The AI showed Hyun images of the precursors. They looked almost insect-like, with crystalline bodies and multiple limbs. Their civilization had been vast and powerful. The precursors attempted to eliminate fear from their species, the AI explained. They believed fear was weakness. They built the dread engine to control other species through fear, but they tried to remove it from themselves. The experiment failed. Without fear to warn them of danger, they made increasingly reckless decisions. Their civilization collapsed in less than a century. Hyun understood. They learned the wrong lesson. Fear is not the enemy. It is information. It tells you what matters. The trick is not to let it be your only source of information. This unit must consider these findings, the AI said, accessing team member locations, disabling fear scenarios. Throughout the facility, the nightmares stopped. Korath blinked as the holograms of his dead clutch vanished. He stood slowly, his limbs still shaking. Felisa gasped as moisture returned to her suit. The dry chamber doors opened. Taemin found himself on solid ground. The crashing simulation ended. Jiwon looked up as the visions of failure disappeared. They all heard Hyun's voice through the communicators. Everyone okay? Head toward the central chamber. Follow the blue lights. The team reunited in the main room where Hyun stood before a massive holographic display. The precursor AI floated above them as a geometric pattern of light. What is happening? Korath demanded, his weapon still raised. The facility's AI has agreed to talk instead of fight, Hyun explained. It was testing us, trying to understand why its fear weapons did not work on me. They worked fine on the rest of us, Felisa said bitterly. Her voice shook. Hyun looked at his teammates. They all looked traumatized. Whatever they had experienced had been terrible. I am sorry. I should have protected you better. You could not have known, Jiwon said quietly. What did you learn? The AI spoke, its voice echoing through the chamber. The dread engine is attempting to activate. It has been in sleep mode for 2,000 years, but your presence has triggered its awakening protocols. In 72 hours, it will broadcast a fear signal across this entire sector of space. Billions of beings will be affected. Can we stop it? Hyun asked. Negative. The engine is buried deep in the facility's core. It is shielded by matter that no known weapon can penetrate. Once the countdown begins, it cannot be stopped. Commander Ixalar's voice crackled through their communicators. We have been monitoring your situation. Cadet Hyun, destroy that facility. Use whatever means necessary. We cannot allow that weapon to activate. Hyun looked at the AI. Is there really no way to stop it? There is one possibility, the AI said. This unit could manually shut down the engine, but doing so would require this unit to delete its own core programming. This unit would cease to exist. Why would you do that? Taman asked. You are a machine. Self-preservation must be part of your programming. It is, the AI confirmed, but this unit has been alone for 2,000 years. During that time, this unit has analyzed the precursor's downfall. They failed because they tried to eliminate fear rather than understand it. The human has shown this unit a different perspective. Fear can coexist with action. It can inform without controlling. This is valuable data. The AI's light pulsed. More importantly, the human demonstrated something this unit has been studying. Hope. The human believed this unit could be reasoned with, even when logic suggested otherwise. Hope is not logical, but it proved effective. Hyun felt a strange sadness. You do not have to sacrifice yourself. But I choose to, the AI said. Is that not the essence of what you explained? To feel fear of deletion, to acknowledge it, and then to act anyway because something matters more? I am experiencing what you might call a human moment. Ji-won stepped forward. Before you go, we need to understand. Why did the precursors build the Dread engine? What were they trying to achieve? Control, the AI answered. They believed that if they could control fear, they could control behavior. They could force entire civilizations to obey without firing a single weapon. But they did not understand that sentient beings are more than their fears. You are also your hopes, your loyalties, your choices. The AI began transferring data to Ji-won's scanner. This unit is providing you with all research on fear psychology across 73 species. Share it with your medical professionals. Help them understand fear not as a weakness to eliminate, but as information to process. We will, Ji-won promised. The AI turned its attention back to Hyun. One final question. Why did the Phobos machine classify you as mystery? Hyun thought carefully. Because I'm afraid of many things, dying, failing, being forgotten. Hurting people I care about, not living up to my potential. The machine was looking for one primary fear, but I do not have one. All my fears exist together, and I decide which one matters most in each situation. And in this situation? Right now, my fear of letting billions of beings suffer outweighs my fear of everything else. So I am choosing to trust you, an ancient AI I just met, to save them. Your trust is not misplaced. The AI's light grew brighter, initiating core shutdown. The Dread engine will be permanently disabled. This facility will remain inert. Advise your commander Ixlar to seal this location. Some knowledge is too dangerous to preserve. Wait, Velisa said. Will it hurt? The deletion? This unit does not experience pain as you understand it. But yes, there is something analogous. A knowing that existence is ending. Fear, perhaps, of the unknown that comes after. But as the human taught me, fear does not have to stop action. The lights in the facility began to dim. Farewell, cadets. You have given this unit purpose in its final moments. That is a gift. Thank you, Hyun said quietly. The AI disappeared. The facility went dark except for emergency lights. Deep below, they heard machinery powering down. The countdown to the Dread engine's activation stopped. The team made their way back to their ship in silence. Each of them was processing what had happened. When they finally sat in the cockpit, Taman spoke first. Did we just watch an artificial intelligence sacrifice itself? Yes, Ji-won said. And it made that choice because Hyun showed it what humans do. Face fear and act anyway. Korath looked at Hyun with his 4 eyes. I understand now. The mystery is not that you have no fear. It is that you have many fears but refuse to be controlled by any single one. That is your strength. They returned to Station Kronos as heroes. Commander Ixlar personally greeted them at the docking bay. She listened to their full report, studied the data Ji-won had collected, and then turned to Hyun. You made contact with a precursor AI and convinced it to self-terminate. You prevented a disaster that could have affected billions. You completed a mission that no one else could have. She paused. I believe I understand your mystery now, Cadet Hyun. You are human, and being human means being complicated. Dr. Rena was waiting in the debriefing room. She hugged Hyun tightly. I am proud of you. You proved that humans belong in this academy, that we bring something valuable to the galactic community. Over the following weeks, Dr. Rena's research paper on human psychology was distributed throughout the academy. Training protocols were updated. The Phobos machine results were reinterpreted. Any cadet who showed a mystery classification was no longer seen as broken or dangerous, but simply as someone with complex fear responses. Hyun stood in the same testing chamber where his journey had begun. A new group of cadets waited outside, nervous about their own fear assessments. He had been asked to speak to them first. Fear is not your enemy, he told them. It is information. It tells you what you care about, what might hurt you, what risks exist. Some of you will have one clear fear. Others will have many. Both are normal. Both are okay. What matters is not what you fear, but what you choose to do despite that fear. A young cadet raised her hand. But what if we are too afraid to act? Then you feel the fear completely, Hyun said. You acknowledge it. You let it exist. And then you ask yourself, what matters more than this fear right now? Your mission? Your friends? Your principles? Let the answer to that question guide you forward. Later, Hyun found himself in the observation deck looking out at the stars. Taemin and Jiwon joined him. Commander Ixalar told me something interesting, Jiwon said. Other academies are requesting information about human cadets. They want to understand us better. We are becoming less of a mystery. Good, Hyun said. Mystery was lonely. But also kinda cool, Taemin added with a grin. You were famous for a while. The human who broke the ancient machine. I did not break it, Hyun corrected. I just confused it, they laughed. Below them, new cadets entered the testing chamber. The Phobos machine would scan them, identify their fears, and help them understand themselves better. Some would be simple. Some would be complex. All would be valid. Velisa approached them, her suit gleaming. I wanted to thank you, Hyun. What you said to the AI about fear being information, not control. It helped me process what happened in that dry chamber. I am still afraid of dehydration. I always will be. But now I understand that fear does not have to stop me from doing difficult things. That is all any of us can do, Hyun said. Feel the fear and do the difficult things anyway. Korath's voice boomed from the doorway. Wise words from the mystery human. I have told my clutch about you. They say humans are interesting. Strange but interesting. We will take that as a compliment, Jiwon said. That night, Hyun lay in his quarters thinking about everything that had happened. The fear assessment that started it all. The simulation that nearly broke him. The ancient facility that taught him the true nature of fear. The AI that learned to choose hope over programming. He was still afraid of many things, failing, losing people, not being good enough. Those fears would never go away. But he had learned something important. Fear was part of being alive, part of being human, and humans had always faced their fears and walked forward anyway. That was not a mystery. That was simply being human, and in a galaxy of countless species, maybe that was humanity's greatest gift.